Good morning, everybody. It's Danny back from Deepsouth Homestead. Yep, turning cold again on us, guys. Here we are out here. It's in the high 40s again this morning. It is April the 20th in the Deep South, and it's this cool. That's just unheard of for us. But the cool weather crops are loving it. The onions are doing phenomenal. Let me show you guys. I want to show you just for a moment how big some of these are. I mean, look at some of these onions. My hand won't even fit around them. I can't even, my fingers won't even go around. And I got big hands. I mean, that's, guys, when I put my fingers together up here, that's that big around. That's 4 inches in diameter already. And they're probably, Wanda and I were looking at them. They're probably maybe a week or two, probably 2 weeks maybe at the most. And they should be ready to harvest. And I don't even know how big they're going to be by then, because I see some down yonder that's pushing 5 inches probably. I mean, these things are amazing. Over here, 3 inches is a common. There's one right there. It's probably 4.5 going for 5. I mean, these things, these are the Texas Legends, and they have really outperformed anything I've ever imagined. Now, that's what happens when you push the nitrogen to them when they're early, get them up growing. Now, one thing we're learning here about these onions, these are the red bells. They're not doing as well. It may take them a lot longer. Now, there's one right back here. We're probably going to take this one out because the middle's already done mushy on it. So it's probably going to have to come out. When it's got a little bulb on it, about 2.5 inches, maybe 3 inches in diameter. But the rest of them haven't really started bulbing up really good, so they're going to take a lot longer than the Texas Legend. And this is telling us we don't want to fool with the reds anymore. We're going to stick with, if we'd have put another row of Texas Legends in here, we would have really ramped up our onions more than what we did. But it was an experiment, and that's how you learn while you can. Now, it's fixing to be to a point where we're not going to be doing any more testing. It's just going to be grow, grow, grow. I sound like Grow Network, don't I?
Grow Family.
Grow Family Network, yeah. But that's what we're going to be doing. It's just growing, growing, growing. Experimenting, we're about through with that. But you know what we have found out? When we come out here to look at the onions this morning, the potatoes behind us, believe it or not, they're ready to dig. We didn't buy any seed potatoes this year. We took a chance. We buy seed potatoes every year, but we've been working on a system to be able to save all of our own potatoes from this point forward without having to go to the store to buy seed potatoes. This is our first year. Guys, we saved all of our potatoes from last year. We're going to see how they all done. Now, we predominantly saved the French Fingerling and the Purple Majesty. That was the two that we really focused on. Now, I don't know for sure. There could be some other varieties mixed in with it, because once they start looking a little shriveled up and all, they kind of all look the same. But you can definitely tell the blue ones from the red ones, and that we know. We don't have a problem with that. But some of the French Fingerlings, so they could have a Kennebec White mixed in with it, because we had a bunch of different varieties. They could have a red Lesotho mixed in with it or something like that. So we did save all of our own potatoes this past year to see if we can do it. We are planting in stages, as y'all have heard us talk about in our high tunnels and stuff like that. We're planting in different stages to keep our potatoes going fresh. We've learned we can grow them year-round, except for the 2 months, or actually 3 months in the summer, which is July, August, and early September. It's a little too hot for us to grow potatoes here, but at the end of September, we can put them back in the ground. So we're trying to actively come up with a process, and I believe we've got it almost perfected to where we don't have to buy seed potatoes anymore. So come on along and let's see how our potato saving actually worked out for us. Okay guys, here we are. The plants are dying back pretty good. I have to be careful right here behind me. I stepped backwards and I realized my heel started sinking, and when that happens in the Deep South, that means you're in a fire ant bed. And as cool as it is this morning, those crazy things are out here crawling around everywhere. I mean, look, they just cursed from hell. That's all they are, straight out of pit of hell. Them things are no good for nothing. Okay, let's just take one of them here and let's just see. We'll get kind of out of the way from them. French fingerlings usually grow right up under the plant. So let's just take a look. And let's just see what we've got here when we start pulling this plant.
I see fingers.
I see taters. Look at that.
Look at that.
Look at this. We got to find out how much we get off of just one plant. We got to take our time here with this one plant. I'm gonna just shake it lightly. It usually will just fall off. Okay, got an oak tree coming up in there. Another oak tree. Squirrels planting acorns everywhere. Okay, we're gonna get a bucket here.
Wow.
You make sure I'm...
One plant, one meal.
I was just looking at that. Yeah, that's one plant. I don't know how many that is, but... Oh, let's see how many we got here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 potatoes on one plant. Nice sized potatoes too, because when you're looking in there, probably don't do them any justice, but they fit in the palm of your hand. That's a pretty good size French fingerlings.
Yeah, that's a good size.
Good tater size there now.
French fry size.
French fries. And they're like buttery. I mean, when you cook them, they're just like fantastic.
All right, so let's pick some more. Let's dig some more.
Let's see if this is going to be, what would you say that? How would you say that?
The normal.
Yeah, let's going to see if this is just going to stay the average, normal.
Yep. Look at the potatoes.
Look at that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11.
And all the little ones.
12.
You ain't even 12 big ones. You ain't even got the little teeny ones.
I'm going to leave the little ones because we like to find rogue plants out here. Look at that.
There are 2 more.
13, 14, 15.
So 16 is going to be a good average.
Yeah, because there's actually little ones we're not even picking up.
There's another one.
There's one there. We leave them because what happens, we've learned, there's actually 17 on that one if you count all of them. When we plant other crops in here, this fall, we'll come back and we'll have taters growing here and we didn't plant because of the little teeny ones we leave in the soil. Sounds like biblical, don't it? We're harvesting where we didn't sow. We're reaping where we didn't sow.
Yeah, because we have lots of volunteer potatoes over in the other field we'll show later.
Yeah, we'll show them later. That's pretty interesting there now. Oh no, we got a white one.
We got a white tater. How
white tater got mixed up in here. Look at this.
We love these taters.
Look at that. That's interesting. We got a white one mixed in here.
Not surprising.
No. Doesn't surprise me at all. Get back over there. You need to stay in there. Now that's a fingerling beside it there. We'll put the white ones in that bucket.
Wow, some good sized potatoes.
These are Kennebecs.
And they are so good. I had some in my greenhouse.
Yeah, that Kennebec white got mixed in with that. Isn't that interesting? I mean,
So
but look at that.
2, 4, 6, 8, a little over 10 good sized potatoes. So that's a meal off that plant.
Yeah, and we put the little white ones back into the soil, so.
The T90 ones.
This is interesting.
Wow.
Look at that.
Look at how big.
Look at that.
4 of them makes a good meal.
Oh yeah. You add them in with your other stuff, yeah. Now see, when we find one that's green like this right here, that goes back into our seed stock. I try not to mess up the row too bad because look at that right there. You know what that is?
Sweet potato.
That's a sweet potato, and it is sprouting.
So it's going back.
It goes back into the soil. This is permaculture. We're going to see what we're going to do, guys. Look at that. Now, that's how they get missed. What we're going to do is after all these potatoes is harvested, we'll let it rest for a week or two or higher until we get this other field full up here. Let me put it that way. When that other field up there gets full of sweet potato slips, then this row right here will get rebedded, refertilized, and it'll get planted with sweet potatoes. And when the sweet potatoes come up in here, they'll put the vines on everywhere and they'll shade the ground. And in 125 days, when we dig them, what'll happen is these little potatoes that we're leaving in the ground, we'll see it'll be close to fall by then. These little potatoes in the ground here will begin to sprout because they've been laying dormant up under the shade of those sweet potatoes, and they'll begin to make potatoes this fall. So don't get confused. Potatoes and sweet potatoes are not both in the same family. They're total different. One is a tuber and one is not. So don't get confused about that, saying, well, we're planting potatoes one consecutively right behind the other one. No, they're not in the same family. So we're talking about planting one right behind the other here. And not to be confused, like we're talking about, there is a difference between a nightshade. See, these are nightshades. These, you just plant the potato and it makes potatoes. The sweet potatoes we're going to plant here, they're in the morning glory family. You don't plant the potato to make potatoes. You plant the potato to make a slip. You pull that slip or a draw, some people call them draws. You take those off and we'll bring those and put those in the soil, and those will actually grow potatoes or sweet potatoes in 125 days. Now, I have a book I've wrote on sweet potatoes. If you're interested in that, we have it on our Etsy store at deepsouthhomestead.etsy.com. You'll be able to purchase one, and it tells you all about sweet potatoes. It tells you the history of them, the origin of them, everything about them, how to grow them. We have colored pictures, details, step by step of how to grow sweet potatoes, because it is a different process than growing the regular potatoes, which is in the nightshade family. Now, if we was going to plant another nightshade here, we couldn't do it because you need to wait on the nightshades because of different problems in the soils that arise. Another thing, you know, when all these onions come out here, this will be transformed also into another crop. And if we have enough draws, then we'll put it in sweet potatoes also, because that seems to be one of our main staples here. We have a video coming up here very shortly. We're going to be talking about the future of Deep South Homestead, because we have another big project that we're adding at Deep South Homestead. Hopefully it will begin by this weekend, and we'll be able to show a little bit of it in the next week. We're excited. We've gotten some of the parts in for it and some of the stuff to make this happen here at Deep South. We've waited for a long time for this project to come to fruition, and it's going to allow us to continually keep our food storage going. So stay with us for the upcoming videos on that. So let's get back to digging here.
Wow, I already see potatoes rolling everywhere.
That's a little bitty one.
That's just amazing.
Isn't it? Look at that. Isn't it just, look at that. They're just going everywhere. I can tell right now we're going to have a tater harvest.
We're going to have taters for lunch, which I already have some out of my high tunnel.
Yep.
And Danny's got some in his high tunnel.
Oh,
They're
yeah.
not ready yet.
Well, this ain't all of our taters.
And we have some.
We've learned to, what would you call it, stage them out.
Yeah, they're everywhere.
We've got them planted. We got them on the other hill back yonder. I mean, we're actively moving things around here. Y'all can stay in the soil. Get that row, keep it bedded up. All right, guys, we're here. You know, the beauty of having as many onions as we got, you get the beauty of coming out and choosing one. Now this one here is done fell over. See, it's done how the top's done got kind of, the bottom foliage is starting to die on it here. The bottom 3 or 4 of them. So we're gonna go ahead and take this one here. And this is one of the smaller ones. Look at this. That's beautiful. Look at that. Yep. Remember what I was telling you guys about all the foliage on them? You want to make sure you get the foliage first. You know, we got all these big, giant, beautiful foliages out here, and this thing's already broke over right here, starting to lay down, which means it's going, this one was getting close to being ready to take. And it's, see, my hand still won't reach around it. It's that big. This one's a good 3 inches in diameter here. Let me show you what we got to go with this today. Well, guys, we had no idea. Our potatoes was all shriveled up when we were planting them, and we evidently got some of the Kennebec whites mixed in with our French fingerlings. And these are some nice little potatoes here. And we like the Kennebec whites. They just don't make very many potatoes per plant here in the Deep South. That's why we really don't focus on them a lot. But then we have the French fingerlings here. I mean, these are really nice potatoes here. That's a 1 gallon bucket. This is a 2 gallon bucket, and this is a 3 gallon bucket. So we probably got 4 gallons of potatoes here all together. Just off of this one little old, what is this, about a 30-foot row here. And guys, that's what this big old onion here is for today. This one is gonna be making some fresh taters. Big old onion like this. We're gonna live high on the hog today. Boy, this is the beauty of living off the land like we do, having our own fresh produce here all the time. We have the joy of being able to come out here and take what the Lord has blessed us with and be able to harvest it and to give thanks back to the Lord for Him being so gracious to us. And now we're going to take these and go let the potatoes kind of lay out. We're going to spread them out. We're not going to wash them. Don't ever wash your potatoes. Leave them just like they are. Spread them out. Let them air cure for a while in a cool shade or something like that. You don't want to be rained on or wet or anything like that. You want them to stay dry. The beauty of the new potatoes like this is that you can actually eat them fresh out of the ground, and they're actually really good when you eat them like in the first day. I mean, they're like really, really good. Unlike the sweet potato. See, the sweet potato, you want to let them cure for a good 2 weeks before you actually eat one of them. You let the starches turn to sugars in them and stuff like that. These are just the opposite. You can actually eat these fresh, and they're just as good fresh as they are, you know, after you've let them set for a while. Ain't nothing like eating good old new taters and fresh English peas out of the garden, which we're going to be picking here in the next week, and good old fresh onion like this mixed in with it. Man, my mouth's watering thinking about this. Some good old Danny cornbread that we've ground the cornmeal on this year. Good old bacon from our home-raised pig here, our home-cured, home-smoked bacon here. I mean, God, it just don't get any better than that. I mean, that's what I call living free. You're not dependent on a grocery store somewhere. And you know, if you don't own one of these right here, this is a garden fork. Now, this one's a little short for me, but hey, I'm okay with it, because when I get down on my knees or on the ground, I have to sit down now. I don't get on my knees anymore. I have to sit down. It works really good for me because it's kind of short. And this is what you want when it comes to digging these little fingerling taters and stuff like that. This thing, you just put it up under them. And I want to talk about the dirt here for a minute, guys. This dirt, those of you who've watched us, well, a little over 2 years ago, we had 2 ponds built. And as Mr. Lance dug them out, we realized there's about 10 or 15 feet of topsoil in the bottom of them hollers. And I asked him, would he pile it out to the side for me if he didn't have to have it? And he said, sure. Guys, I had like 25 18-wheeler loads of topsoil piled out to the side. They've been pushed off these hills that had rained in there and settled in over the years and stuff like that. And these gardens like this, I came out here, and this one here, I think I dumped about 20 bucket loads off my tractor in here. And I want to show you, everybody was wondering about that black dirt that we had. How's it going to work in the garden? Well, you see the potatoes, you see the onions, and look how, I want you to look at this. Look at this here. Now you'll find these little occasional pieces of wood and stuff like that in it, but I want you to look at this here. Guys, perfectly sandy loam soil. It has turned back into God's gold. Look at that.
Another potato.
Another potato. That's how easily these things get missed. God's gold. I call this God's gold right here. I mean, look at that. It just falls through the fork. Another little piece of wood. You know, you're going to have that in there. Guys, I'm telling you, this right here is tater growing dirt. We still got a whole nother garden over yonder of taters to dig later on. We got taters in the high tunnel. We got taters everywhere.
Taters volunteering.
We got volunteer taters coming up in our Kentucky Wonder yellow wax bean pole beans over yonder. Had to remember which variety we had there. It's an heirloom variety. We're going to be saving the seeds from. We got taters coming up in them because we're doing just what we did here. We're leaving little tiny ones in the soil, and they just voluntarily just pop up. And while we're along picking beans or something this spring, we'll look at one of them. If a plant starts to die a little bit, we'll dig it up, and me and Ms. Wanda have a fresh tater to go with our beans when we're snapping them and stuff like that. So, guys, thank y'all so much for staying with us today here and watching this here. It's a little early for us this year. Things coming in quite early. And we noticed as we was digging these, the fire ants were already starting to congregate around the potatoes, looking for the moisture in them and the sugars in them. So we really hit it at the right time before the ants actually got into them. Because if they hadn't, the little fire ants would have just bored little tiny holes all in them everywhere. And, you know, it would have really eventually ruined the potato. You can't really save a potato like that. But, guys, if you like seeing this kind of content from us, be sure and subscribe to us. Hit that like button, because that puts us into an algorithm where everybody else out there gets to see what we're doing here. And guys, with the times we're going into about food shortages and the lack of food and stuff like that, we're all going to have to know how to do this. And maybe this will help someone in the future understand a little bit about growing potatoes and varieties of potatoes. We have settled pretty much here in the Deep South on the French fingerlings and the purple majesties, the blue potatoes. We're pretty much cutting out most of the others because, I mean, there's going to be some of the others that's going to come up like the Kennebec Whites. We had no clue they were there. Occasionally we'll get some like that pop up in there, but the French fingerlings and the purple majesties, two of the ones that we've discovered here at Deep South, is going to do probably better than anything else for us. So thank you guys once again for watching. Thank you from Deep South Homestead.